It's time for the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition review for the Nintendo Switch. Some of you may know I've already reviewed the original on the Wii, but, slight spoiler alert, because this is one of my favorite games, I wanted to review the Switch version. Was it worth purchasing again? Let's find out. The story centers around Shulk, a human, or Homs as his race is called, who lives on an ancient behemoth known as the Bionis. After key story sequences play out, Shulk and his best friend Rhine head out on a quest that takes them all around the body of the Bionis. This is a JRPG, and the Wii version is probably the first of its kind I've played. When you begin a battle, specific arts, or battle attacks and techniques will become available, and using them against your foes in a strategic manner is the key to victory. Specifically with Shulk, you'll want to approach and attack enemies from various positions relative to the enemy's alignment. If you use his slit edge attack when on the side of most enemies, not only will they take damage, but their physical defense will decrease for a short time. Follow this up with Shulk's backslash attack while behind them, and they'll take a massive amount of damage. As you play through, you'll meet up with other characters who will join your group. Each one has their own unique playstyle, such as Rhine being the main tank and Charlotte being the main healer. It's a good idea to switch up occasionally so you can get a good idea of how to best utilize their abilities. The game does okay in terms of when and how it decides to use the two characters it controls as you battle, although it could use an overall upgrade as sometimes it wouldn't perform the move I needed it to in certain moments. If I was going up against a higher level enemy, especially if they were a boss, maining Charlotte was my best strategy as the game didn't heal me fast or efficient enough if I played as a different character. Fortunately, there are tons of side quests you can complete which will help you level up faster. The first time I played this, I didn't really focus on side quests, and I found the general progression and game world scaling to favor enemies more so, which would make my playthrough quite difficult, and I felt forced to grind for a while just so I could level up enough to be able to face main campaign enemies. In this run, however, I focused heavily on side quests, which in turn gave me the opposite result, where I was overpowered for the majority of the game. Being overpowered is more fun, but finding that sweet spot of being at the subjectively right level for each area is challenging, whether you pursue side quests or not. One of the main combative mechanics is Shulk, with the help of his weapon called the Monado, can see visions of the future. When this happens, you will see an upcoming devastating attack from the enemy, and you will have a few seconds to figure out how to prevent it, or at least tank the blow. I thought it was good how you didn't need Shulk to be in the battle party to witness these visions, and you can receive help from your teammates in thwarting the attack. Near the top left corner of the screen is the party gauge, which when full will allow you to perform a chain attack, during which you can choose one talent from each character to perform, even if it was still in the cooldown phase when you begin the chain attack. Having a higher level of affinity between the characters will give you more chances to continue the chain attack, which ultimately gives you a greater chance to cause major damage to an enemy. The arguably easiest way to increase affinity is to just participate in battles with the characters you're trying to increase in. Other ways include gifting them items they like, or playing out a heart-to-heart moment between two characters. It's very battle advantageous to increase affinity between all characters, but it also increases the overall character and charm of the game, so don't overlook this mechanic. I thought the graphics on Wii looked great, but they're even better in this version. Now, I should mention that the footage you've been watching is of me playing on the Switch 2. Although there isn't an official Switch 2 version of this game at the time of this video, I researched and learned that the Switch 2 upreses the resolution to Full HD when in the dock, so although the game was designed to be capped at 720, the Switch 2 upresed it to 1080 and it looks really good. This, along with the possible slightly faster load times, are the only things I encountered, as opposed to when I first played this on the original Switch. It doesn't look bad in handheld mode, but there's definitely a difference as the textures are grainier. The menu UI has been overhauled for a more streamlined experience, and various other quality of life enhancements have been made, such as skippable cutscenes, and it's easier to track quests, especially fetch quests where exclamation points will show up on the items you need. The controls are pretty much perfect, as most of the time you're either running around or selecting battle arts from a menu. A quicktime event will pop up in battle when a character either performs a well-executed attack, or sometimes even when they miss an attack. Successfully completing the simple quicktime event will have a different character talk about what happened, which will increase the party gauge, increase the character's morale, and increase the affinity between them. The music is beautiful. Each location has a day and night theme which just works well for the atmosphere of the area. Every character has various lines of dialogue that play out when in battle, just after a battle, or when a character's health gets too low. They usually make sense when in battle, but the same lines happen if you fall from too great a height, which sometimes doesn't make sense because of the context.
This isn't going well. Steel yourself! The fight has only just begun!
The game will lead you on an A to B route throughout each map, but you'll miss a lot of optional and even secret areas if you do this. Various collectibles are scattered throughout in the form of blue orbs. You won't know what it is until you pick it up, and collecting all in a certain subset can yield rewards for your characters. Sometimes when you pick up an item, a vision about it will play out, which gives you a clue on how it'll be needed later. Every area has various creatures and enemies to fight, but some of them are variants, or mini-bosses. These enemies are quite tough, even if you're at their level, but the spoils of war are great if you can defeat them. Some map areas have very high-level enemies, and coming back to them when you can is just another thing the game offers. Just like with any enemy, a boss fight's difficulty basically depended on my level compared to theirs, but also who I chose to main when battling them. Some can be quite difficult, so trying out different strategies of trios was fun. The Definitive Edition has a time attack mode where you can gain good rewards for completing fights in a certain amount of time, and it comes bundled with a side story called Future Connected and takes place 1 year after the events of the main game. I won't go into it because of spoilers, but it adds about another 10 to 20 hours of gameplay, which is a great addition. This is the best way to play the original Xenoblade. The Wii version isn't bad, not by a long shot, but there's a reason this is called the Definitive Edition. Improved visuals, a better UI, various quality of life improvements, and a couple of new game modes makes this the version to play. It does have its shortcomings, such as certain points can feel like a monotonous grind, and I wish there was some kind of item or mechanic that greatly increased the movement speed of your character, other than a quick step gem that does just this, but it still doesn't make me fast enough. Overall though, the game was amazing back when I first reviewed it, and it still is with this one. This game gets a 4.75 out of 5 with the title of Epic. Not by a long shot, but there's a reason this is called the definitive. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. Oh my gosh. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. I can't say this word. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. Oh my goodness, I can't say this word. Definitive. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. Oh my goodness, I can't say this word. But there's a reason this is called the Definitive Edition. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. Oh my goodness, I can't say this. Okay, here we go. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. Oh my goodness. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. But there's a reason this is called the Definitive Edition. But there's a reason this is called the definitive. Oh my god. This is the last paragraph. Come on.